Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Schlage number 34-300. This is a number 0 bottom pin by Schlage, and sold as a pack of 100. When you buy one, you're going to get indeed one package of 100 pieces. That's how these are sold. And that's typical. I don't know that every manufacturer requires a package of 100, and I would be not surprised to learn that some may be restricted systems offered a smaller quantity, that sort of scenario, but 100 is incredibly common. Forgive me, that would be the only way that these are sold. The 34-300, let's dissect that part number. 34 tells me that it is a cylinder part of some sort. I've got it in these tweezers. The 3 in the part number tells me it's a bottom pin, and the 00 tells me that it is a 0 bottom pin. And not having a lot of success with the camera, but you can kind of make out the point is not exactly square at the bottom. It's slightly radius, but it's not all the way to a point. And at the top of the pin should appear to not be exactly flat. That's because it's not. All of the points that I was drawing your attention to conspire to mean it's a Schlage pin. Every dimensional aspect of the pin is exactly related to the fact that it is a Schlage pin meant for application in Schlage keying systems. There is a link below this video to a document called Key Bidding Specifications. And that's really handy because it will, on the bottom half of the document, allow you to see the part number for all of the other bottom pins, the part number for all of the master pins, and the top pins, or sometimes those are called driver pins, along with some additional other pins and springs. Okay, you can notice in the bottom pin chart that the length of the pin is 0.165. That means that if I put a caliper on this pin, it is going to measure 0.165 on the caliper. But the pin length, while of course that's important, it's really what we work with. It's the size that's derived by knowing the effective plug diameter, which in the Schlage system is 0.5, and then the root depth. So 0.5 is the diameter, the effective plug diameter. The root depth is the dimension from the root of the key blank, or the bottom of the blade, to the bottom of the cut. If you put a caliper on that, it's going to give you the root depth. If you notice, the root depth on a Schlage 0 is 0.335 in the table on the right side near the top. Well, 0.5 minus 0.335 is, you guessed it, 0.165. And that's where that comes into play. Okay. Before we talk more about that somewhat complicated drawing that's there, the top pins. There are 3 different sizes of top pins in a Schlage system. That's because the total possible pin stack height that you have is hopefully changing in the cylinder pretty often. You don't want a cut of 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. The pin stack height is a dimension that equals your bottom pin, any and all master pins. Those two numbers together has to equal the proper top or driver pin, so that when you insert all of these pins in the cylinder plug and into the Bible of the cylinder housing, that the spring that's inside of there is not excessively crushed by having too long of a top or driver pin, or not compressed enough, causing the possibility of it not working correctly, the spring not pushing the pins down as they should. So those 3 top pins are there and should be kept on hand for proper applications. You'll have a pin stack height of somewhere between 0 and 9, and that will be comprised of only bottom pins or bottom pins and master pins together. That's how that'll work. You'll never have a stack height less than 0. You'll never have a stack height greater than 9. Now, back to that fairly complicated chart. If you make a living as a locksmith, you very likely are intimately familiar with all of the concepts and the that are obvious there, but more so the concepts that are not immediately obvious there. All of the dimensional properties and the information on the upper right hand side of that page conspire to tell us everything about a Schlage 6-pin system. It's a 15 thousandths of an inch increment. It's a two-step system giving us parity. The shoulder to first cut dimension is defined. The center to center cuts are the shoulder to the first cut is defined. The center to center of each successive cut is defined. The depths are defined. Okay, using that information, you can not only, of course, manually or semi-automatically duplicate keys. You don't need to know any of that to duplicate keys. You can cut with a code machine. You still don't need to know that information because the code gives it to you, the card gives it to you. But if you're cutting on a machine that requires you to know stop to first cut, center to center of its cuts and successive cuts, and then its root depth, you can absolutely cut this key on any machine. Technically, you could cut it by hand with a Pippin file if you felt so inclined because you have the data. But what's important about that drawing is the 100-degree dimension on the cuts, the .031, that's where the tip of that pin is not exactly pointed because the bottom of the cut is not pointed. It's plateaued off. The point of the matter is, all of those dimensions, they might seem nice to have there. Well, don't think of them as optional. It's mandatory that you are creating keys to those specifications. That kit behind me is what would be called a universal kit. And universal kits are nice because out of that kit, I can key many dozens of different key systems and do it with one kit. However, that kit is somewhat homogenized or averaged out to be compatible with all of them because not all of them have the same effective plug diameter, even though most of them will. Not all of them are going to have the requirements, therefore, to the radius of the top of the pin, nor will they have the same 100-degree angle requirement or the .031 bottom plateau flat requirement. And while those pins are in that universal kit they work in those instances because of the commonality between all these other systems, I can tell you that if I was doing only Schlage, I wouldn't have a universal kit because the end result is not as smooth or happy or as accomplished when you are using original equipment. I have that because I deal with lots of different key systems. This customer I'm supplying these pins to and original cylinders and original Schlage key blanks does only Schlage, so he does not need to have that. And there would be no advantage to the client having that except the fact that it will work and work very well, and that original equipment pins like the 34-300, they're a lot more expensive than pins that you can get for a universal kit. However, when you're not a locksmith, but you possess the skill, knowledge, and experience to repin your own hardware, as this client does in this moderate-sized facility, the client appreciates the original equipment manufacturer's precision over making the parts that he uses to key in his original equipment so importantly that he's not interested in a copy of the material, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Looking at the rest of that document, I don't see anything else necessary to discuss regarding it. Finally, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Schlage products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. And encyclopedic documents are there as well that you might find very interesting. And if you do operate as a locksmith, whether you're new to the industry, say within a year, or someone who's more experienced, you might find there'll be something on that page of note, I think, to you regardless of your years of experience. Whether it be a key systems answer book, which an experienced locksmith probably would have no use for. Or it's the Schlage 1959 service manual for their wafer locks, which is there for entertainment, really, because it's a long discontinued key system. What I appreciate most about Schlage is not only the quality of the lock, but the caliber of their technical support department, who is flawless in responding, which makes it crucial. People call me to help them work on their material, anywhere from someone who just needs a key blank all the way up to I need in-depth knowledge and an answer on how this portion works, getting well into the realm of locksmithing, and the ability to draw on the factory for these technical answers that aren't necessarily published is crucial. And I think I know that they appreciate where I'm coming from with those bi-weekly questions that I send for technical support. Any questions on the Schlage 34-3000, a number 0 bottom pin by Schlage, or any other Schlage product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.